You might hear the term family caregiver support programs and wonder, what on earth does this mean? What is a family caregiver support program and why would I ever need one? Family caregiver support programs go by many different names and many different terms. The idea is that it is some type of vehicle, and I'll talk about those in a minute, that helps people who are in families who are caring for each other. It could be family caregiving support programs for parents raising children, or a disabled child, or an elderly parent, or a sibling. And the first thing that usually comes to mind when you search for this is all of these government programs come up. They are government programs, nonprofit programs, and then there are other services that provide family caregiver support, like myself. I'm a caregiving expert. I've been doing this for 20 years. Some caregivers, when they search for family caregiver support, they might be interested in learning how Medicaid can pay you to take care of a family member, or what kind of benefits Medicare or Medicaid or other public assistance programs can offer. Those are very important. Those are mostly government programs, and so for those you go to government agencies. But in a broader term, family caregiver support programs are anything that can provide support, education, and information to help caregivers gain confidence in the decisions that you have to make, to gain new skills so that you can care for an elderly parent with chronic disease, or a parent who has Alzheimer's or dementia. So all of these programs, and there are many, I'm going to kind of give a list. So it's things like online counseling or telephone counseling for caregivers. Caregiver support groups, which are online or in person, where you join with other caregivers to share your experiences. Caregiver education sessions, and these are courses, so whether online or in person. Podcasts, there are many podcasts out there. I have one called The Caring Generation, but podcasts about health and well-being, all of those. Watching videos like this. If you found me through this video, you know that there are thousands, millions, billions of videos on YouTube and Facebook and everywhere else. Another important one that I talk about a lot, and which I actually do in my podcast and share on my website, is I do a lot of research, and I speak to doctors and researchers worldwide about a variety of subjects related to caregiving. So when you seek family caregiver support programs, you want to seek information, but you want to make sure that the information is trustworthy and proven and reliable and beneficial. Also, caregiver support comes through establishing positive relationships with people who can support you in a variety of ways. That could be a doctor or a nurse, or the clinic where you go get your medical care, where you trust them to provide some information for you. There's also a lot of what I call disease-specific organizations out there. The American Heart Association, the Cancer Association, arthritis, diabetes, Alzheimer's. Many of those associations offer education, and they have programs. Caregiver support, as I talked earlier, also involves investigating public support benefits for the elderly. The biggest thing that you can do for yourself is to build yourself what I call a team of people to support you. So if you're a family caregiver, that team could involve your doctor and a financial planner if your parents have one or you have one, a CPA, an Eldercare expert like myself, just a team of people that you can go to when you have questions to say, wow, this came up and I don't know what to do about Medicare. Should I change this program? Or the doctor's recommending these kind of treatments. How do I even know what questions to ask? What does that involve? What do I do? What's a medical power of attorney? How do I know if my parents need a guardian? There's so many questions that family caregiver support programs can offer. And while it can feel overwhelming because there is so much information out there, you have to start somewhere. So I recommend starting with whatever your most concerning issue is today. What is problem number 1, 2, and 3, and order those in priority. And then start seeking support specific to those problems. And then once you get the daily ups and downs of caregiving somewhat manageable, start looking at a longer-term plan. How long can you be that caregiver? How is caregiving going to affect your life? If you're the person who needs care, how long can the caregiver you have be your caregiver? Is it realistic for this to be a long-term situation, or do you need to start looking at other options? Caregiving and care receiving is a two-way street, and both sides, in my opinion, want to be equally involved and equally proactive so that one isn't becoming overly reliant on the other. because that eventually results in a lot of stress and can result in a lot of anger and resentment when caregiving and care receiving relationships become off balanced. Caregiving is truly this lifelong journey that begins with having children and caring for aging parents and ourselves. There is so much to learn. There's a lot of time in between birth and death. And so the more that you can learn, the more that you can pass this information down to your children, and they can pass it down to their grandchildren, we can all really change the face of caregiving by becoming more familiar and participating in family caregiver support programs. I'm Pamela D Wilson. My website is PamelaDWilson.com. On there, a lot of helpful information, my caregiving library, my weekly podcast, one-on-one elder care consultations with me, and a lot of hope, help, and support for adults who are interested in health, caregiving, and aging. I hope to see you again soon in another video.